Hello, Kris here, Green Sabre. Welcome to Doom Telly. I'm not going to number today's episode because it's one of the vinyl community ones that's been sort of doing the rounds, and it's the one that I believe Metal Marty Mac first did, which is the Discogs Randomizer. So I'm going to give that a whirl. So yeah, as it's not strictly an episode of Doom Telly, I'm going to decide that these little random ones that I do, I'm not going to number. They're just going to be an additional episode of Doom Telly. You might even get 2 this week as well. I'll see how I go recording-wise. So yeah, the Discogs Randomizer. Now, I'd seen this on Def Metal D. Dylan had done a video. I'm sure I called him fucking Daryl last week as well. I must have been thinking of Pantera, Dylan. But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, Dylan done a great little randomizer video, which then led me to find Metal Marty Mac's that he'd done as such. So, Discogs Randomizer, I thought, yeah, that's interesting. Because I thought, I've not got an enormous collection, but I've got a fairly, a wide range of things in there. So I was hoping that it might kind of pull out, and it sort of did. No cheating either. Actually, no, I tell a lie, there might have been one cheat. I think it brought out an album by a band that I've recently covered in fairly great depth. So I just picked another one of the same band as such, but I just picked another one. But yeah, that was the only cheat that I did. But other than that, yeah, all fairly, and it was a fairly good eclectic mix of stuff. So this is only going to be a quick video, like most of them have been. So I'm going to crack on with them now. So let me get my notes and all of that. Okay, so the first to come out of the randomizer was a band that I like, but not everyone does. And it is this. Queens of the Stone Age. And the album is Era Vulgaris. Now, I like this record. I like all the Queens of Stone Age's records, including the new modern, what people would call pop records. And these sort of are. There's a lot of pop sensibilities on them. And yeah, and it just a kind of, it's one of them where, yeah, Josh Homme has got a lot of critics as well, maybe rightly so in places, maybe wrongly so in places, as it's turned out. But anyway, I like what he does. One of the things that annoys me with him is he's been quite vocal, like, we're not stoner rock. We're not a stoner rock band. I hate that term. Well, Josh, you fucking are a stoner rock band. And whether you hate that term or not, that is what you do. And it's what you do best as well. So let's not pretend that you're some kind of contemporary pop act all of a sudden. You do stoner rock brilliantly. And I really like this record. I think it's a good one. This is a repress, because I think the original came out as a 10-inch on vinyl. But there's some absolute belters on here. There's Turning the Screw, the opening track. There's, is it Run Pig Run? Yeah, the closing track. 3s and 7s is a fucking peach on here. And one of my favourites, 666. Another fucking masterpiece. Really, really good sort of driving stoner rock that they're great at. There's that Make It Wit Chew, which just the fucking spelling of it makes me want to fucking break things. And it's all a bit kind of, yeah, that was when the kind of concern that, oh, they've gone a bit pop here, haven't they? And sort of believing all their hype and so on. Yeah, so it's not without its fault, but I think it's a fairly decent record. So it was the first one to come out. They're on tour soon. They're playing some fucking venue in Halifax that I've never heard of, that have got Limp Bizkit on, and I mean, it's like 55 quid a ticket, I think, for this, so I don't think I'll be going anytime soon. And it'll be one of them usual, when a band gets really fucking big like these, they bring some absolute pile of dog shit as support. So it'll be one of them where you pay 55 quid just to see them, because the support act won't be worth a piss. And I suspect it's the same again. Bring Fu Manchu with you, lads, or something like that. Don't bring some fucking label-orientated pop act. Anyway, so yeah, love that record, not without its fault, but a good start, yeah. The next one that came out, and I have talked about it a lot, but I just, yeah. Arth. I discovered the other week, it's pronounced Arth. That came direct from the horse's mouth. The horse in this case being Mark Deeks, the man behind this all. Fucking hell, what a record. And I was sort of glad that this came out of the randomizer. I mean, if it based anything on plays, then yeah, that's probably why it came out. Having said that, though, I've not played that Queens of the Stone Age in about fucking 5 years. But anyway, I don't really need to say much more on this that I haven't already said in countless other videos. An absolute fucking masterpiece. A contemporary doom metal classic. And this is one of those doom metal albums that, much like Cathedral's Forest of Equilibrium, Trouble's self-titled, My Dying Brides, Turn Loose the Swans, Paradise Lost's, Gothic. Yes, I do hold it on those on annals. 10 years from now, we'll be talking about this record much like those. It is a fucking masterpiece. Arth. Yeah, take up my bones. Enough said. Right, let's crack on. I'm supposed to be doing a quick video here, 5 minutes already. The next one that came out, and I think it was the one that no, it wasn't the one that I discussed otherwise. It is this. Metallica's The Garage Days Revisited, the $5.98 EP. For me personally, one of Metallica's finest hours. I know it's none of their songs, but what Metallica are fucking brilliant at, and still are brilliant at, is cover versions, and fucking hell. Absolutely firing on all cylinders on this record. It is just immense. Every track is brilliant on it. I got into... This was the first Metallica that I owned. I bought it on cassette from the Disco Music Centre in Morecambe. And I think it was $1.99 or something like that. Yeah, so it was one of them. It was an easy, oh, I've got money for that. I'll buy that. I was not disappointed. So I'd heard this before I'd heard Master of Puppets. And maybe that's why it holds legendary status with me. Because it was absolutely eye-opening. It changed my life as such. Like, very much like Cathedral's Forest of Equilibrium changed my life permanently, so I became a doom metaler. This is the one that changed my life to become an extreme metaler. And it helped me, yeah, I'll be honest. I missed, because I was only young at the time, I missed Killing Joke when they first come on the scene. I missed the Misfits when they first come on the scene, obviously, because I was only like fucking 4 or 5 or whatever it was. I missed Budgie, of course, when they first come onto the scene. The list goes on. All the names that are on here, I missed. It was Metallica that turned me on to them. So, just brilliant. One of the best things they've done. And when I do a Metallica ranking video, this is going to be right up there. And I will be including this, so yeah. Okay, that was the third one that came out. The fourth one that came out, Pink Floyd. And this is a recent reissue of the mono version of their debut album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I love all aspects of Floyd. I prefer the soundscapey, massive epicness of their sort of 1970 through 1977, 78 stuff. Yeah, I prefer that. That's the golden era of Floyd for me. Sadly, when Syd Barrett, who is here in the middle, you can see him there, it was the brains behind the operation back then. He wrote all the songs, but I love this era too. And there's a kind of melancholy in it that's not apparent because it's quite playful. There's daft tracks on here like Bike and The Gnome and stuff like that. That are kind of mental, but there's a slight, it's the word I'm looking for, not creepy as such, like, but yeah, the melancholy, there's a sort of depressing element to it, because it feels like there's elements on here where you can audibly hear Syd Barrett losing his mind, and, you know, it's sad, it's a tragic if you don't know about it, look it up, I'm not going to start explaining it now, but yeah, it's a really tragic tale, is the story of Syd Barrett, but there's some absolute fucking peaches on it. Astronomy Domine, or Domine, sorry, it's pronounced, isn't it? Astronomy Domine is just, what a way to start an album. It's creepy, it's just, yeah, that riff's fucking spectacular. You've got some other good sort of soundscape pieces on here, like, is it Power Torch, or whatever it's pronounced anyway, track 5. You've got Interstellar Overdrive, and yeah, fucking brilliant album. So yeah, I was glad that came out. The next one that came out on the randomizer was the one that didn't come out on the randomizer. It's the one that I changed because I'd just been talking about the one that came out in fairly great depth on the last video about Desolate. So I picked the other one that I hinted upon. It is the band Trouble, of course, and it's the album Plastic Green Head. This is the last great Trouble album for me, and I do think it's a great Trouble album. It kind of, they've moved on from that strict doom metal vibe that they had as such. Like, I mean, they've moved on from that anyway, but the sort of turning point is the self-titled in 1990. Yeah, Nav, Manic Frustration, that followed in 1992, and the album that I went into a bit of depth with previously. And which is where you start getting more groove orientation in it. They've picked up on that kind of stoner groove thing. Run with it brilliantly, and yeah, probably some of the pioneers of it. But this album, and this is one of the recent Hammerheart record represses, and I have to say, hats off Hammerheart. They've done a sterling job on these reissues. Really good packaging, nice coloured vinyl. Let's have a look. I can't remember which one I went. It's the purple one. I went for the purple vinyl of this one. And yeah, I love this. I had it on CD originally when it first came out in like 94 or whenever it was. And I played it to death. There's some belters on here. Just some straight up belters. You've got... right, let's go into it. You've got Plastic Green Head, the opening track. One of my favourites on here, and one of my favourite Trouble tracks ever is The Eye. I think it's a fucking cracker. The Pauper song, which is a cover of an old... Is it Carole King? No. Anyway, whatever it is. Yeah, that's a great little cover on there. You've got Opium Eater, you've got various other things, and then you've got... There's an extra track on here that I've just realised, which proves that I've probably barely had it on since the vinyl. But Tomorrow Never Knows, great cover of the Beatles classic. That's the last track on Revolver, if I remember rightly. But cracking album. Thank you, Randomizer. Okay, speaking of random things, it then threw up a Frank Zappa record. And the one it threw up was Apostrophe, which is one of his better ones. It's a great one, this. You're sort of right on that cusp. Is it like 73 or 72? 74 even, by the looks of it. Yeah, it's right on that cusp where he's kind of moving into the different dynamic. What I like about this album is you've got all his kind of variants on here. You've got the Stupidity, the Daft songs, which, if anyone's into Frank Zappa, is likely where they started. It's what got me into him, was the Daft songs, like fucking... Dancing Fool and fucking Bobby Brown Goes Down and all that kind of nonsense. But it's once you get past that, you get to the nitty gritty, the meat and bones of his of what he does, and music, his songwriting, his structures, his music, which is just brilliant. You've got elements of everything on it. You've got Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, then it goes into Nana Rubs It, St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, which is like the 3 separate tracks on it, but it's all one big long track, really. Father Oblivion, Cosmic Debris, which is one that resurfaced a lot. I was lucky enough to catch his son Dweezil Zappa in concert in 2019, was it 2019? Whenever it was at Town Hall in Leeds. It was a great... They did Hot Rats in full and then a few others, and Cosmic Debris was one of those. One of my favourite Zappa songs ever is on here though, and it's Uncle Remus. It's a beautiful little tune with like kind of gospel-y style backing vocals on it and all that. Yeah, it's a belter. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail, but Apostrophe, Frank Zappa. Thanks, Randomizer. Okay, what number's that? I've got 8, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so the 7th one that it randomised. I think it's the 7th one. Let's just get this shit together, people. Yes, it is. Was this Sun and their 20... Oh, fuck, don't tell me. 2019, I think. 2019, yeah. Masterpiece. Life Metal. I think this is one of their finest hours. It is just sensational. There are some just monstrous tunes on here. And if you're into Sun, then you'll get it. If you're not, then yeah, they're going to be a hard sell. So I'm not going to attempt to hard sell it now. But Sun have done some absolutely breathtaking drone soundscape pieces. And this is right up there. I can't really think of much else to say on it, apart from if you want to try out Sun, you're interested, you like what you've heard of bits of drone and stuff like this, I think this is a great place to start, because it's one of the more accessible, and I use that in its loosest term, and there's vocals on one of these tracks as well. They're, again, droney kind of. It's not like Mariah Carey or any of that shit, but there is vocal lines. But yeah, Sun with their 2019 masterpiece, Life Metal. Fucking fabulous. Okay, the 8th one that it threw up was this. Fantastic band. Bosk. And it's the album Migration, their most recent piece. I believe that they might be in the studio now, possibly, or around this time doing other stuff. But I love this record. It's not my favourite of theirs. Audio Noir would be my favourite, comfortably. That is an absolutely breathtaking record. But this is a very close second. It's fucking great. There's some absolute peaches on here. What's it? Lyra is the track, which is just stunning. I'd love to see that live. I've only ever seen Bosk live once, and they didn't play Lyra. They played quite a lot off of Audio Noir, which I wasn't complaining about. They're playing Damnation this year. Now, as it stands, I've only got a Saturday ticket, and I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to make it over to the Friday, which is just really disappointing, because the Friday night, the night of Salvation, is shaping up to be fucking monstrous. And these lot are doing Audio Noir, and it's full on the Friday night. But this is another great record of theirs, so check it out if you haven't already done so. Okay, the 9th one that came out, Skyclad. And it is their sophomore album. The second album that they did, Burnt Offering for the Bone Idol. Now, if you like, let's have a look here. Our drummer Brian, that's his brother Dave there. Lead guitar, Martin Walker, of course. The late, great Keith Baxter. Frith on fiddles and keyboards and whatnot. Bean there on bass, and of course Steve Ramsey on guitar. A stellar lineup of Skyclad. And this is a great album. It picks up from where the debut Burnt Offering for the Bone Idol left off, and there is still vast chunks of thrashage on here. There's some absolutely brilliant songs. I mean, you've got War and Disorder, What a Way to Start, Broken Promised Land, Spinning Jenny, which is probably the one that gets most rotations off of this one. Carmageddon, Ringstone Round, Men of Straw is my favourite on this. And they had, up until recently, still been playing that in the set, and it's a fucking peach. You've got Alone in Death's Shadow, that's a really nice, brooding ending track. But hats off, lads. A fucking cracking album. Burnt Offering for the Bone Idol, Skyclad's second record. And the 10th randomised item, which came out of my collection, was this. Misfits and Walk Among Us. Their best album for me. I love Earth AD, and Earth AD was the first one that I'd heard properly, because that had Green Hell on it, and that, yeah, like I mentioned before, that was Metallica that got me into them. But when you get to the nitty-gritty of it, this is comfortably their best, most accomplished piece. It's just brilliant, and I can't speak highly enough of it. It's a seminal record. Anyone that's getting into metal really needs this in the collection. This one's a repress, but I think it's like a 2009, 2010 repress. It's not Earache. I think it was Earache. I've recently been repressing this by the bucket load in all sorts of fucking weird and wonderful colours and splatters and merges and all this kind of thing. This is just a black vinyl, but it is a repress. It's the Ruby repress anyway. I don't know if you can see, that's the fucking whatever it is on there. But yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And those were my 10 Discogs Randomizer items. So, right, fucking 18 minutes. I can't do a quick video, it appears. So, my apologies about that. So, let's just wrap this up quickly. Like I say, hopefully there'll be another video coming this week. And I think I'm going to do not a deep dive, a ranking of one of my favourite bands of all time, Yob. So, stay tuned for that. Thanks ever so much for watching. Like and subscribe. No more subscribers this week. Was it something I said, guys? Please subscribe. I need the validation of numbers. My life just isn't complete without numbers increasing. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you all soon, sooner than normal, hopefully. Tra.